Hello and welcome to another episode of the Contractor Grow Show. My name is Mark. I am your host. And today I'm speaking with Mark Rogers at Efficiency Revolution, right down the road from us here in Golden, beautiful Golden, Colorado. Mark, thank you so much for being on the show today.
You're welcome.
Great. So, you guys are in the energy efficiency space. And we've taken a look at your site, and you guys have got all kinds of certifications. You've been in the business for 24 years, sounds like.
That's right.
Amazing. Maybe you could just tell us a little bit about the kind of history of the business, how you guys got to where you are today.
Yeah, I started out in this field back in about 2001, and at that time was working for another company doing energy efficiency evaluations and inspections for the Energy Star for New Homes program. So doing a lot of what they call energy ratings, which is different than an energy audit. That's focused more on the energy ratings are focused more on new homes. But after a while, we had the housing crash around 2008, and the company that I was with transitioned to doing mostly existing homes rather than new homes. And that company got a contract with Xcel Energy to kind of manage their program and start up their energy audit program, as well as manage some of their other rebate programs like insulation and air sealing, and this program called Home Performance with Energy Star that later became Whole Home Efficiency.
Okay.
And I eventually decided to go into business for myself and started doing the energy audits on existing homes and eventually added the improvement work. That's been going on for about 12 years now. So it's been growing every year and significant growth every year. So yeah, it's been going great. I have 4 employees now plus myself, and we're looking to add a second crew right now. Just bought a new truck for that. There are a lot of really good
Amazing.
rebates that have come into effect this year. And so a lot of people are trying to take advantage of those. So business has been really good.
Amazing. So you yourself have conducted 4 to 5,000 energy audits. You've kind of supervised another 10,000 audits or sort of evaluated those. Let me just ask you kind of a newbie question here. I mean, I've got a building background myself and very interested in this topic about energy efficiency. But when I think about, I mean, you talk about on your site about sort of helping really make the world a better place, helping with kind of dealing with climate change and some of these pressing sort of environmental issues. When I think about environmental issues, I think about how do we save the planet or whatever. And I think about sort of driving less or using solar versus coal. But you have really focused on this energy efficiency piece. Here in my house, the electricity bill goes up to $300 in the winter, whatever. I don't really notice that. But I think that it makes a really, really big impact, the work that you're doing. Why is energy efficiency so important from a kind of an environmental perspective and making the world a better place? How does it help? Why does it matter at that level?
Yeah, so the energy used for heating and cooling and providing the, lighting and appliance electricity and all that stuff, it's a very big proportion of our total energy use. And most people know energy use is responsible for a lot of pollution. So carbon dioxide is created when you burn fossil fuels. So the more we can reduce that, the better. And you mentioned maybe not noticing that few $100 a month energy bill. A lot of people do notice it. Kind of depends on where you're at in terms of your sensitivity to price
Uh-huh.
increases, but every little bit helps. If we can cut somebody's energy bills by 15, 20, 30% in some cases, that's a big win for them and for the environment. For every 20% we reduce somebody's bills, we're reducing their emissions by about the same amount. So it's very important.
Amazing. Okay. And I was building a lot really 20, 25 years ago, kind of right out of college. And it seems like at that point, some of these thermal imaging sort of devices and things were just coming on the market. I mean, I've seen photos on your site of kind of the use of you guys' tools. I mean, how has energy efficiency and the kind of tech changed over the last 20 years? What are you guys able to do now that you weren't able to do, when you started 24 years ago?
Yeah, so back then, 24 years ago, we weren't even using infrared cameras. There was one that was available for occasional loan from, like, I think it was the Western Power Utility Association, something like that. And it was black and white. It had a tiny screen. These things cost like $50,000 at the time. And then the company that I was at, that I mentioned before, they acquired their first one back in, I think it was about 2008 or so, and that one cost $12,000, and that was a floor model, so it was gently used. Now they're much more affordable. You can get pretty functional ones for less than $1,000, but it really helps us to troubleshoot what's going on in a house. And when you can show customers what's going on, behind their drywall, as far as hidden insulation issues and air leaks, you can really motivate them to take action, and they understand the problems a lot better.
I see. Amazing. So to do an audit, I mean, you guys go out with your tech, you're taking kind of infrared visuals of the house and also doing some manual inspections and things. I mean, what's involved kind of in an energy audit of a house these days?
Yeah, good question. And it's one I answer, just about every day when I'm talking to
Yeah,
customers on the phone.
I'll bet.
Anyways, what that consists of is we'll go into your house, we'll check the insulation levels by, looking at the insulation in your attic. And if you have a crawl space or an unfinished basement, we can see all of that and check the thickness of it and the condition of it. But like we mentioned, also doing the infrared camera scan, and we're combining that with a what's called a blower door test. So the blower door test this is a device that sets up in typically the front door, and it pulls air out of your house. And it's a very slight amount of depressurization. Typically it's depressurization. Sometimes we depressurization if there's some potentially hazardous materials present. When that's happening, we can go around with that infrared camera, and as long as there is a bit of a temperature difference between the inside and the outside of the house, and it can be either hotter outside or cooler outside, it doesn't matter as long as it's 10, 20 degrees or so, we can actually see the evidence of where those air leaks are coming in. So if we look up at the top of the wall, where the wall and the ceiling come together, while that air leakage test is happening, we can actually see streaks of cold coming down
Huh.
the drywall. And it's air leaks that are between the drywall and the top, it's called the top plate of that framing. So we can really easily show customers what's going on and recommend a full air seal job of their attic, where we go around with a foam gun and we can seal up those air leaks. That would be done at a later date after we get them a proposal and they approve that. That's a big part of it. And then we do a safety check on the furnace and water heater. So we're checking to make sure that the exhaust gases are going out the flues like they're supposed to. And we'll also check for carbon monoxide issues. So we'll check the flue gases. That's basically the exhaust pipe of a furnace or a water heater. So we'll check for the carbon monoxide content there. And if there's a major problem, we let them know so they can have it adjusted. We'll also check for gas leaks, and we'll check the windows for a high efficiency coating. That's called a low E coating. And what that is, it's a metallic coating that they apply during manufacturing process. So we have a special detector. Not a lot of companies use those, but we spent the extra money to give customers a little better idea of what's going on. And then, of course, we do a check of the air conditioning system as well. We'll check the efficiency rating on that, see if it looks like it needs to be cleaned. We'll check the lights and appliances and see if the doors are leaking and what kind of condition they're in as well. So yeah, and then the crawl spaces are a big thing around here, especially in like Denver and Lakewood. So oftentimes they don't have that vapor barrier on the soil, so you get a lot of dusty dirt coming up into the house and sometimes radon. So we can put down this vapor barrier, and that helps with that, and then insulate those walls. But yeah, all of the improvement work would be done at a later date. So we basically just give people an idea of what can be improved, what kind of benefits they can expect and how much it will cost to fix those things. And there's a rebate for that too. So there's a it's 60% of the cost up to $200 if your home is heated with gas that's provided by Xcel. And typically we're going to be charging anywhere from, after that rebate's applied, anywhere from like 150 to 250 depending on the size of the house. If it's a really big house, it can go up from there.
Are there also kind of rebates that happen on the work that you guys do afterwards? Are there some benefits there?
Yes, there are two big rebate programs for the type of work that we do. There's also some for the HVAC related stuff, the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning side of things, but we don't really do that type of work. So there's a program called Home Efficiency, and there's another one which is just the insulation and air sealing rebate program. Almost always customers are going to get more benefit from the whole home efficiency program. And it started out as a program where you had to do 3 improvements or more in order to be in the program at all. That's not the case anymore. So you can do 1 improvement if you want to, up to as many as probably, I think they're like, I don't know, 6 or 8 things that could qualify. But most customers start with sealing their attic, insulating their attic, and maybe insulating some uninsulated walls. They do have to start out without insulation. And the amount of the rebates can be substantial. It requires a spreadsheet to figure it out because it's kind of complicated. And there are different tiers depending on what your existing insulation level is. So the starting and ending R value is one of the factors that goes into that, and then the square footage of the attic. So it's kind of hard to give people an idea of how much it's going to be without seeing the house first. But it can be $1,000 to, $3,500 is pretty typical.
Wow. Okay. Finding team these days, Mark, a lot of contractors have found that it is difficult to kind of source team these days and to find people that are really kind of qualified and that I mean there's really a shortage of labor. How have you dealt with a shortage of labor in your company? And I mean, how do you deal with kind of finding and maintaining a really solid team?
Mhm. Yeah, so when we first started out, I didn't have a lot of experience with, had no experience with hiring people. So other than interviewing folks at my previous company, but yeah, it's completely different when you're trying to find help for the kind of work that we do now. It's really hard work. People are, employees are crawling around on their hands and knees trying to seal up air leaks, digging around in insulation in attics and clearing that insulation away and trying to seal it up. So it is hard to find people. And, I've had guys that only lasted an hour on the job and they basically said, I can't do this. So
Uh-huh.
what we've started to do is try to hire only people who have experience with insulation or similarly difficult jobs,
Right.
and ones that require agility, like wind tower technicians, where people have to have really good balance, climbing skills, and stuff like that. Because getting around in an attic is difficult and potentially can be hazardous.
Uh-huh.
So anyway, so we use some of the bigger advertising platforms to find help and try to narrow down our focus to the guys that are really good and have demonstrated that they can do this kind of work effectively and safely. And then we pay them well. So we're probably paying guys significantly more than our competitors. So it keeps them happy and motivated to do the job well, to perform great services for our clients and to stick around. And that way we don't have these turnover problems that a lot of other companies might.
Uh-huh. Okay. And then we've seen that you guys have got just a ton of really glowing reviews that I mean, people love you guys. You guys have got on all the platforms, Angie, certainly Google Business Profile. You guys have got just a ton of 5-star reviews. What's been the secret to your success with that? And how do you, I mean, stuff comes up sometimes in contracting and have to deal with things not going to schedule and different things. How do you maintain such amount of quality such that people consistently give you guys 5-star reviews?
Yeah, so I expect a lot from my employees. I mentioned that I pay them well, and I do expect them to pay attention to those details that make customers happy. I hire guys that have, a pleasant demeanor, that are good communicators, good eye contact with people. And, if anything goes wrong on a job, I make it right. Customers have my direct phone number. That's the one that's listed on the website. It's my cell phone. So I'm available to talk. I mean, always be available to answer right then, but I'll give them a call back pretty quickly and we can come up with a solution if there was anything that wasn't to their liking. And our pricing is competitive too. So I monitor what's going on as far as pricing, and I'm always trying to find more efficient ways to do things. We're upgrading our machine right now, actually adding a second crew. We just bought a new box truck and new machine should be here on Monday. So that should enable us to blow the insulation in faster, get in and out of the customer's home faster so that, we're not overshooting on our time that's allotted to do the jobs. So all those little things really add up and our customers appreciate it.
That's fantastic. And then regarding growth here for 2026, I mean, we talked to a lot of contractors, a lot of folks that have just kind of grown by referrals. I mean, there's certainly a slowdown with interest rates, the price of materials, price of labor. What are kind of your plans? I mean, do you expect, are you guys planning to grow 10, 20, 30% here this next year? It sounds like you've been growing for years. Or are you guys kind of in a stable place? What are you guys thinking here for 2026?
Yeah, so with the addition of this new crew, we're going to be able to potentially as much as double our available time to do jobs. As far as what that entails on the back end, we currently have a little bit of a bottleneck there as far as proposals getting out and getting things approved and doing the paperwork with the rebates and all of that. We're probably going to be growing significantly. It's always anybody's guess as to what the future holds, and especially with these rebate programs. There was a really big pool that was allocated for what they call bonus rebates from Xcel. So there is a program called the Clean Heat Plan, and that, my understanding is they had about $500 million in rebate money allocated to it. And so they're going through that amount of money, and I'm not sure if it's going to be funded again. And it's expected that that might get used up sometime here in the next like 6 to 8 months. When that happens, there will probably be a decrease in business. But right now, customers are kind of beating down the doors to get this work done so that they can get this bonus rebate money and make their houses more comfortable and decrease their bills. But yeah, we're planning for growth and we'll see how it goes.
And Mark, I mean, have you guys grown mostly by referrals? Most contractors doing great work. They just get a ton of referrals coming in. You guys are obviously doing amazing work with all the reviews. I mean, is that how things have grown, or do you guys, do any work with Angie or some of the other platforms to bring in some extra, leads in business?
I tried Angie and I wasn't too happy with the way they were doing things. I know they're local companies. I didn't like to have to cut them off, but we're not using them
Sure.
anymore. Um,
Yeah.
but we're getting a lot of our business from referrals. We're working with a couple of heat pump contractors here locally, and they do great work. Gary Southern over at Four Seasons Heating and Air, and Aaron Shine over at Just Heat Pumps. Bill Lucas Brown over at GB3 Energy Solutions here in Golden. Yeah, we send referrals back and forth, and that's been really good for us. I kind of developed a good reputation when I was helping to manage that Xcel Energy program. I was the quality assurance manager for the whole state of Colorado for their energy audit
Oh,
program.
okay.
So I got to meet every contractor in the state at that time.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so I have some name recognition. Some of the newer guys may not recognize me, but been at this for a while. That kind of gets the word of mouth going, and also we're getting referrals from existing or previous customers. Neighbors will refer us, or they'll see our neighbors will see our trucks in the driveway and ask them what's going on. We're getting a lot of referrals.
Fantastic. And just to get a sense of you guys' market area, I mean, you guys are based in Golden. Do you guys work all over the state of Colorado, or what is your? That's pretty far. What is
Yeah,
the kind
not
of
quite
range
that far.
that you guys work in outside of
Yeah,
Golden?
Yeah, so we're advertising within about a 20-mile range, and we'll go as far north as about Boulder. Occasionally, we'll get as far north as Longmont. We'll go out to Aurora, down south as far as like, maybe Castle Pines. And then we do a lot
Okay.
of work in Evergreen, a little bit in Idaho Springs. So that's kind of the boundary of where we typically work, but we'll consider going other places as well.
Sure. Fantastic. Well, great. Well, Mark, if folks are here in the Denver, Golden kind of region here in the 20, 25-mile radius around kind of West Denver, and they want to get in touch with you guys, what are a couple of good ways to get in touch and have you guys come out and do an energy audit and potentially you work with you guys?
Yeah, so people can reach us at my phone number, which is 303-868-6653, or you can reach me at mark@efficiencyrevolution.com, or you can go to the website, efficiencyrevolution.com.
Fantastic. Efficiencyrevolution.com. Perfect. Well, Mark, thank you so much for being on the show today, sharing your expertise, background, even if it's for a long, long time. I mean, you're certified, clearly deeply an expert in this space, really a leader over here in the whole state, the whole region. It's got amazing reviews. We love to see that. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how 2026 goes for you guys. We'd love to have you on the show again at some point and see how it's working out with your new crew. And yeah, but I just really appreciate your time today for sharing your expertise. Thank you so much for being on the show.
It's been my pleasure. I appreciate you having me.
Okay. All right. Well, take care.
All right, thanks. Take care.